Hi there, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on wherever in the world you are. My name is Sydney, and this is Sharing Calm. I have a wonderful practice for you today that is great for the morning to wake you up and stretch you out, but it is also a good practice if you really are trying to work on strengthening and stretching your hamstrings. Our main focus today is going to be Adho Mukha Svanasana, which is downward facing dog, which tends to come up often in a regular yoga practice. So I really wanted to work on strengthening and stretching the parts of the body that are really important to have a comfortable and restful downward facing dog, to allow you to truly go deep within yourself when you're in that position and not feeling like scared that you're not doing something right. So let's get going. We're actually going to start on our backs. So you'll come to lie down. If you press into the back of your head to lift your shoulders up to really curl them under, just bring the soles of your feet to the mat, point your knees straight up, and bring your hands to your belly here to start. Just to inhale. And feel the breath filling the belly and clearing out. Just to drop right into this practice, into this moment, into this space with that physical sensation of the breath. The breath always being that compass that guides you to come into your present moment. On your next inhale, go ahead and bring your arms around your knees, hugging your knees in tight, but if that's not comfortable, then you can go ahead and just bring the palms of your hands to your knees. Rocking back and forth a little bit here, just to massage the lower back. Sometimes I like to move the knees in a circular motion, but I encourage you to find something that your body's asking for today. So whether that means to roll all the way to one side, stretch your legs out, come back to the middle, go to the other side, just a little bit of freestyle here in the beginning of our practice. In your next exhale, end it back centered in the middle, and go ahead and inhale to straighten the legs up towards the sky. You can place your hands alongside you, palms down, pressing down into them just to help find balance here. And this is really it. This is like the golden ticket to really stretching and strengthening those hamstrings for downward facing dog. It takes a lot of leg strength in literally all parts of the leg to get the legs straight in this position, to have your feet flexed and soles of the feet pointing up towards the sky, toes pointing towards you, really pulling the muscles of the quads towards you and down, and pushing the backs of the knees away from you to straighten the hamstrings. This is a lot of work and can be very intense. So you can work towards it, especially in the morning. Straightening the legs might not happen. Straightening the legs might not happen at any point of the day. And if that's the case, maybe you're here, what I want you to do is bring your hands to the backs of your leg and just pulse a little bit, straightening and bending and straightening, and you'll feel your hamstrings activate and loosen and activate and loosen. Activate and loosen, and just come back to your breath. Moving with it, whatever that means to you today. If inhaling as you straighten and exhaling as you bend feels better, do that. If the opposite feels better, then do that. On your next exhale, go ahead and bring the soles of your feet back to the mat. Take an inhale, sigh it out. And this time you are going to inhale in, bring the knees in into whatever version of the hug feels right. Open your arms to cactus arms, arms bent. And exhale your legs over to the right and bring your gaze over to the left. Feeling the length in the side body. So we lengthened the backs of our legs and we're moving on up our side body here. One more inhale. And then exhale to come through center and over to the left. So knees drop over to the left, gaze drops over to the right. Just for a few moments, and note that if that's too much or not happening, maybe you stack some books up here and you rest your legs against some books or a couch cushion. It doesn't have to be some full, twisted body, like wringing out a washcloth. It doesn't have to be that. Just wanting to feel length in your right side body here. Take an inhale and an exhale to come back through center. And now listen carefully here. Go ahead and inhale to just bring your knees up, to bring your hands behind your thighs, and then push your feet away from you as your legs start to pull your hands and your arms, and you're pushing so hard with your feet that you're pulling your upper body up. It's almost like my upper body is doing none of this work to bring me up. Just pushing my feet out ends up pulling my arms and pulling my hands to bring me up to a seat. If that didn't make sense, then make your way to a seat, however makes sense to you. So hands behind my legs still. So what we're going to do is point our toes, bringing our tip toes to the mat. And if that feels like a lot, then go ahead and just keep your feet flat. And all I want you to do here is lean back and open your chest up. So this is just a variation of a boat pose, really lengthening and opening the chest. In downward facing dog, that is a big part of it too. So hamstring lengthening, side body lengthening, chest opening. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, ends up really lengthening and stretching everything, which is really why dogs do it after they're curled up for a midday nap. And then they're like, all right, time to get up and do my Adho Mukha Svanasana, my big stretch, and get ready for whatever's coming next. All right, exhale to come out of that. Just wrap your arms around your knees for a moment, just hanging out, chilling there, just to just let it go. Just to let your body chill here. You can be rounded down, chin towards chest. We're just sitting up here for a moment. Awesome. So now what we're gonna do is cross our ankles just to roll over and come to all fours. So wrists below shoulders, knees below hips, knees hip width apart, hands shoulder width apart, fingertips wide. And I want to bring your attention to your hands here. So press into your full handprint as though you're trying to make the absolute most perfect handprint in this wet concrete. Like you want the FBI to be able to identify who you are 100% without a doubt, every single crack and crevice of your handprint pressing down into the mat below you, pressing into your fingertips and your knuckles and spread wide. So every inch of your hand as possible can be supporting you here. And as you do that, the next thing that I would like you to try and play with here is just bending into your elbows, kind of bending outwards. I'll face you for a second. So bending your elbows outwards and then rolling your elbows back to allow the elbow creases to shine forward and away from you as you come back to straighten them again. So bending down, elbow creases pointing towards each other, bringing the elbows back towards you, and then coming up to straighten the arms, not locking into the elbows necessarily, but really trying to shine the creases of the elbows forward. So just play with that here a little bit. I know I'm going to be kind of telling you to do that a lot today, but the important thing to understand is that we're all in a different place here. And each day is totally different. So if you don't come back and explore each day, take inventory, you're not going to know how to proceed forward. So that's a lot of what yoga is really taking inventory of your body, your breath, and your mind. See where you are that day. What are you doing? What do you need to give yourself more of? What are you in surplus of that you might be able to give to others? So just playing around with that a little bit, seeing what I mean, trying it a different way if you're unsure. And then coming to stillness here. Your next inhale, dropping belly button down, lifting chest forward. Exhaling to bring chin towards chest, rounding the back up, really stretching the spine. Inhaling, belly button down, chest forward. And exhaling to find stillness here. Once again, take an inhale, press into your fingertips if you stopped. Press into each knuckle if you stopped. And then walk your knees backwards, only to the point where if you came down, just bringing your chest down and hips back, you kind of want to aim for your hips being above your knees. So I didn't walk back far enough there. I'll walk back a little bit further. I think I feel more stable here with my toes tucked under, so feel free to do that. And what I'm bringing you into here is puppy pose. So before a dog becomes a dog, it's a puppy, right? So coming into this puppy pose, you'll note that you still want your elbows to shine forward and up. We're really opening the front of the shoulders and the chest here, bringing our foreheads to the mat if that feels comforting. But if that doesn't feel comforting, if it feels like a lot for today, then I welcome you to come up a little bit. You can be an explorative little pup today and just see what each inch of this movement into this pose really feels like. Where do you feel every step of the way? As a dog, maybe crawling forward and crawling back. Finding your puppy stretch today. Coming back to your breath, feeling the warm comfort in it. How it's always there to welcome you back. Welcoming you back to the moment. I'm really getting freestyly here today. Just kind of moving around in circles, allowing fluidity to take over. Your next inhale, wherever you are, make your way back to all fours. That nice little central position. And then exhale to curl your toes under and walk your hands back. Walking them to the tops of your thighs. Your toes are curled under back here. Working hard. Maybe harder than they've ever worked, honestly. Really thinking about the action of pushing the heel backwards, which helps to kind of lift you up taller, which helps to bring some of the weight off of the feet, because this is pretty intense for the feet. In our downward facing dog, our balance is challenged. Balancing evenly between the hands and the toes and the feet is a big piece of it. So we want to make sure that we're really warming up the strength of the hands. So that had to do with a lot of the finger pad pressing into the mat. And we also want the feet to be strong and ready to do their part as well. So I know when I was first learning downward dog, I would push so much into the hands that they'd end up sliding almost all the time. But if I learn how to really root down almost like a tree frog through all the pads and particles and pieces of my phalanges, which is both fingers and toes, that's when I was really able to move into stillness. And that being said, you might still slip and slide. Some of that just has to do with being human, being sweaty on synthetic yoga mats or carpet or wherever you are, grass. All right, go ahead and inhale to walk your hands forward once again and release the toes, just bringing them flat for a moment, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. And right away, curl your toes under and kind of wiggle your hips up to the sky. So you want your roots, your sit bones, or the very bottom of your seat to really be shining back and up. And as you do that, what happens is your goal is for your spine to not really be humped so much like cat pose, but to be more towards cow pose. Obviously not that exaggerated, but that's the curve, the direction of the curve that we want. So if you bend into your knees here, you'll really be able to exaggerate that with shining your belly button down and opening your chest, letting your head hang. I encourage you to have your legs bent here. You'll see people in downward facing dog with their feet flat on the mat, which honestly, I'm blown away that the soles of my feet are flat on the mat right now. Must mean this warm-up really helped. But most of the time, I have my knees bent and I'm more on my toes. Shining my sit bones up and pressing my finger pads and finger knuckles down. Go ahead and inhale here to come up onto the toes as much as you can. Kind of shifting into a cat here with the back. And exhale to bring the knees to the mat. Walk back once again. Curl your toes under. Taking the weight off your arms and wrists here for a moment. And go ahead and bring your eyes to close. We're going to work into our downward dog just 2 more times. So walk your hands out, wrists below shoulders, hands wide, wide, wide. Big, big, big big handprints. And the knees below hips, and wiggle, wiggle, wiggle your butt as you make your way into downward facing dog. Bringing some of that play that I encouraged earlier here, just straightening one leg and the other, moving slowly through it, allowing your breath to be the guide. If your breath feels like you can't control it here, then it's guiding you to take a break. Honestly. So if your breathing feels labored and like you aren't able to follow it or keep up, then bring your knees down. Bring your big toes to touch, your knees wide, your hips back. Walk your hands forward and bring your forehead to the mat. That's one option here for rest, coming into this little ball of yourself in extended child's pose. Maybe feeling like your breath is so loud and shaky here and you almost can't stay still. And that just means you need to rest longer. Like I said, downward facing dog is a pose that you come to a lot in yoga, and one that is considered a rest pose, but it does not start out that way. And even if some days soon it becomes that way, it doesn't always stay that way. And some days, the rest that your body needs is in a child's pose. And I just want to welcome you to take that here, whatever it's calling to you. If you're still in downward facing dog, feel free now to inhale, coming up onto your toes, kind of catting in the spine here, and then exhale to drop the knees, this time uncurling the toes, walking your hands back, just for a little hero here for a moment, maybe opening your palms up to the sky, closing your eyes, allowing the blood to flow in the opposite direction. Both child's pose and downward facing dog are inversions. Your head below your hips. So sitting up like this allows the blood to flow down. If you're ready for one more, go ahead and walk your hands forward, palms wide, and right away, inhale, hips up and back. You can walk your feet a little bit wider here just to test out the waters. Trying to inhale in your nose and out your nose. Maybe trying to inhale as you come up onto your toes more. And then exhale to press your heels down and back, still while keeping your knees bent. It's still a big hamstring stretch to do it this way. And a very big leg strengthener. Inhale, come up onto your toes. Exhale to bring your knees to the mat. Untuck your toes and walk your hands back to the top of your thighs. Hero pose once again. Opening palms up. Inhaling to lengthen the back of the neck and bringing the chin parallel to the mat or maybe even down slightly. And exhale to drop the shoulders down. Inhale here. Exhale to drop left ear over left shoulder for a moment. Inhale. Exhale to bring chin towards chest as you make your way to the other side. Right ear over right shoulder. Inhale here. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale as you bring chin to chest. And then left ear over left shoulder once again. Inhaling, exhaling, letting something go. Inhale. Exhale as you roll chin towards chest. And bring right ear over right shoulder. A few moments here. And then inhale as you bring your head back to center. Exhale to walk the hands out. Swing the feet around one way or the other and come back onto a seat. We're just going to do the chill out, hang out pose here for a moment. Knees bent, soles of the feet on the mat. Maybe chin towards chest. And then inhale, bring your hands behind the back of your thighs. You can keep your soles of your feet planted or come up onto your toes just to lean back, kind of playing with that balance point on the back. In the balance point in the sit bones. You don't have to actually come into a full boat pose of any kind here today, but our goal right here in this breath, in this moment, is to open the chest and shoulders up to the sky above. That long puppy dog belly, nice and open here. Perfect. Go ahead and exhale to release that. Scooting myself forward just so I can make room to lay down on my mat. So that is what we are doing next. You will, kind of the opposite of how we rolled up, just slowly allow your legs to be that counterpart that makes it so you don't just fall backwards, but slowly come down onto your back, bringing the back of your head to the mat, your palms to your knees. Inhale here. And right away, go ahead and bring your arms to cactus arms and exhale your legs over to the right, gaze to the left. Inhale, legs through center, and exhale, legs over to the left. Inhale, legs come through center. Exhale as you put the soles of your feet onto the mat for a moment. Bring your hands to your belly, where we started. Noticing how your belly almost feels like it has more space to breathe after those puppy dog stretches really just opened up your front body. I'm gonna welcome you to extend one leg out and then the other. Legs wide. And feel free to keep your hands on your abdomen here or to open your arms out to either side. Just a couple breaths here to find stillness. To retake inventory of our body, our breath, and our mind. Kind of need to allow yourself to evaluate. Evaluating what was easy, what was hard. Not judging the answers to those questions, but just recognizing them as where you are today. And knowing that having that understanding will help you throughout the day. As you move through moments in space, if something's easy or hard throughout the day, you may be able to relate it back to this practice. Your next inhale, go ahead and wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing movement back, rolling ankles and wrists. Bring your knees up, and then let out a sigh. I love making noisy exhales when I'm practicing yoga. It feels like one of the only times I'm allowed to be loud and obnoxious in my breathing. Hug your knees in, roll over onto your most favorite side, and inhale to use your hands to bring yourself up to a seat. Whatever seat you find, that is the right seat for you. Go ahead and inhale. Bring your hands together at your chest. Take a full breath in here, just to find gratitude for this time and this practice of yoga that has been offered to us as a tool to use to find unity in our body, our breath, and our mind. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice today. I know I really enjoy coming back to basic poses. That's not the word I wanted to use, but common poses that a lot of times you're guided into practice after practice, but it's not often when you focus on those poses, like downward facing dog. A lot of times you go into a yoga practice and you're expected to know exactly what downward facing dog is or how it's supposed to feel. And if you haven't really spent time exploring it, sometimes you just kind of look around you and you're like, oh, that's that pose that I always see people doing, but I have no idea what I'm doing. And I could go on and on about this forever, and you could spend a lifetime practicing downward facing dog alone. And I hope that whether or not this is your first time really diving deep into Adho Mukha Svanasana, or if it's your millionth time, I hope that you found something in this practice today. And if you enjoyed it, go ahead and subscribe, because I hope to be offering more practices like this to you as I continue. I tend to talk way too much at the beginnings of the videos and way too much at the end. So be it. But overall, I'm so happy that you joined me today, and I can't wait to see you again.